All right, today we're jumping into a piece of internet gold from Cambodia that is just bizarre and brilliant. We're talking about a comedy sketch that has it all: a giant, world-ending bee infestation, ancient spirits, and, wait for it, Japanese hot dogs. No, I'm not kidding. So let's just get right into it. The sketch throws you right into the middle of this totally wild conversation between two guys in a village. And one of the first things you hear is this incredible line: a queen bee that's as big as a missile. I mean, where do you even go from there? So you've got to be asking yourself, how on earth does a story about a killer bee somehow turn into a bit about snack food? And what makes the whole thing so funny? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down exactly what makes this thing so strange, so hilarious, and honestly, so incredibly clever. Okay, first things first, the premise. You know, every great comedy sketch has a solid foundation, and this one is no different. It starts with something we can all kind of relate to, right? An unwanted pest. But then, it just cranks that dial all the way up to 11, to this absolutely absurd, almost apocalyptic level. So you have this one villager, and he's just frantically trying to explain how fast this thing is growing. It all started with just a single queen bee. A week later, boom, it's already huge. And he's doing the math in his head, and he's like, in a year, this thing is going to be the size of a mountain. He's convinced it's going to literally swallow their entire village. And this is what's so important to get, the tone. For this character, this isn't some funny story he's telling. He is in a full-blown, genuine panic. This is a life or death situation. I mean, for him, this is basically an asteroid heading for his village. The stakes are that high. All right, so now we get to where the comedy really starts to kick in. See, the joke isn't just haha big beehive. The real engine of the humor comes from this amazing clash between our two main guys. You've got the terrified villager, and then you've got this so-called expert he's hired to fix the problem. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. It is the central joke. On one hand, you have the straight man, our poor villager, who is watching his entire world about to end. And on the other hand, the bee watcher is asking about a blanket. He's literally complaining that he has to sleep in the chicken coop because apparently the chickens have taken over the main house. The disconnect here is just, it's comedy gold. Okay, but it doesn't stop there. The sketch then starts layering in another level of humor. And this part's really cool because some of it is just universally weird and funny, but some of it is super specific to the local culture. And that's what makes it extra special if you know what they're talking about. So first, you get this absolutely surreal image. The villager is totally convinced these are not your average bees. Why? Because they don't sleep. And at night, he sees smoke coming out of this mountain-sized hive. So naturally, he comes to the only possible conclusion. The bees are smokers. An entire hive of chain-smoking bees. Now, for this next joke to really land, you gotta know a little something about Cambodian folklore. There's this concept called prey. Think of them as spirits or ghosts. And the important part is that a shaman, or a spiritual master, can supposedly control them. And there's the punchline, the grand plan. The ultimate solution to this giant smoking beehive isn't, calling an exterminator. Oh no, the plan is to summon these ancient spirits to go and tie each individual bee's butt closed. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. It is so ridiculously creative. So just picture this. The tension is maxed out. The entire village's fate is literally hanging on whether or not a bunch of ghosts can successfully constipate an army of bees. And right at that peak moment, the whole sketch just takes this hard left turn into something you would never, ever expect. The bee talk just stops, dead in its tracks. And suddenly, one of the guys just starts going on and on, super passionately, about a snack food. Specifically, lucky Japanese hot dogs. And we get the whole sales pitch. Over 85% meat, corn and hot pot flavors, real red corn kernels, and it's a steal at only 500 real. It's a full-on commercial. And right there, that's the absolute genius of the whole thing. The entire story about the apocalypse bees, it was a setup, a Trojan horse. This isn't an ad in the sketch is the ad. It's just this brilliant piece of native advertising. And it's buried so deep in this weird story that you don't even realize you're being sold to until it's happening. So the big question is, why did this thing blow up? What made it go viral? Well, it's pretty clear it's way more than just a funny bit. It's basically a masterclass in how to do marketing in the digital age. When you break it down, it really comes down to these 4 key ingredients. 1, you start with something relatable. We've all dealt with a bug problem. 2, you blow it up to insane, hilarious proportions. 3, you sprinkle in those culturally specific jokes, the prey spirits that make the local audience feel like they're in on it. And 4, the secret sauce, that surprise pivot. You drop the ad in a place where nobody expects it, right when they're totally hooked on the story. And really, that leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought, right? We live in this world where everyone is just so tired of ads. We skip them, we block them, we ignore them. So maybe the most effective way to sell something anymore isn't to interrupt what people are watching. Maybe it's to hide your sales pitch inside a totally bonkers story about smoking bees, ancient ghosts, and a queen bee the size of a missile.